Hello and welcome to the channel. This is a fact file on the Eurasian hobby. This video aims to educate and inform on the secretive lives of these remarkable birds. We'll be covering taxonomic classification, population status and distribution, habitat and nesting strategy, diet and hunting strategy, and history from falconry to persecution. Interspersed throughout this video will also include highlights from hobby nest cameras that we've installed over the past few breeding seasons. Much is still not known about these enigmatic birds, but hopefully by the end of this video you would have gained some interesting insights that you may want to share with others who share your passion in learning about the natural world. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, it would mean a great deal if you were to leave a like, comment and subscribe with the bell. This will enable us to do more conservation, educate more people about the environment, and inform us of the content you'd like to see more of in the future. Without rambling on further, let's delve into the fact file. The hobby, or Falco subbuteo to use its scientific name, is a small to mid-sized raptor and bird of prey. The first formal description of the Eurasian hobby was made by the Swedish naturalist Carl Linnaeus in 1758, in his 10th edition of his Systema Naturae, under the present binomial name Falco subbuteo. The genus name Falco derives from the late Latin falx or falsis, meaning a sickle, referring to the wing profile of the bird. The species name subbuteo is from the Latin sub, meaning below, less than, or under, and buteo, meaning buzzard. The species' English name comes from the Old French obe. The entire classification of the Eurasian hobby is as follows: domain, Eukaryota; kingdom, Animalia; phylum, Chordata; class, Aves; order, Falconiformes; family, Falconidae; genus, Falco; species, subbuteo. Our nest cameras we are showing are from a mixed farmland setting and a woodland/pasture setting. Both recorded video, one during one of the hottest summers ever recorded in the UK in 2022, and the other one of the wettest summers ever recorded in the UK in 2024. The food availability in both of these seemed to be less abundant than average. Falco subbuteo can be differentiated into two distinct subspecies based on geographical location. These are as follows: Falco subbuteo, which will be the main focus for this video, is found across Europe and Western Asia. Falco subbuteo streichi, described by Ernst Hartert and Oscar Newman in 1907, is slightly smaller in size and is a resident species from Myanmar to South China and North Indochina. Other subspecies are proposed but not widely confirmed to be distinct. This is because their geographical distributions overlap and interbreeding does frequently occur between them. For these reasons, we won't be discussing the proposed subspecies in great detail in this video. Coming back closer to home on the UK landmass, the closest living relatives to the hobby are the peregrine falcon, or Falco peregrinus. This is the fastest animal on Earth, exhibiting similar hunting techniques despite being larger than the hobby. The merlin, or Falco columbarius, is a smaller, more compact cousin that preys upon similar food to the hobby and can sometimes be found in similar habitats. Finally, in the UK, we have the common kestrel, or Falco tununculus. This bird is easily identified by, and well known for, its hovering hunting strategy, by which its neck muscles act as gyroscopic stabilizers for their heads. This allows their eyes to remain perfectly stable while scanning for prey on the ground, even in high winds. The identifying features of Falco subbuteo are blue-grey upper parts, which are contrasted by white and reddish-brown underparts. This falcon is 29 to 36 centimeters or 11 to 14 inches in length, with a wingspan of 74 to 84 centimeters or 29 to 33 inches, and a weight of 175 grams to 285 grams or 6.2 to 10.1 ounces. The hobby's wings, when perched, are the only falcon in the UK where the wings are actually longer than the tail. The hobby also exhibits a dark hooded appearance around its eyes, which is referred to as malar stripes, which is believed to aid in protecting their eyes from the glaring sun. Many other species, not just birds, have this feature around their eyes, including badgers and cheetahs, etc. The males and females are strikingly similar in appearance and size, which makes determining an individual's bird's sex very challenging for even experienced ornithologists with the bird in their hand. That being said, the most reliable method for sexing hobbies is by examining their plumage. Males tend to have a more intense coloration, especially on their head, back and thighs. If lucky enough to observe a pair flying together, males are marginally smaller than females. If both are heard vocalizing together, the male's voice tends to be slightly higher pitched and less drawn out than the female's. Now we know the identifying features, let's move on to habitat and nesting strategy. The habitat hobbies prefer to occupy are open spaces with abundant insect and small bird prey. These are places such as heathlands, farmlands, and on rare occasions coastal areas like cliffs or dunes. When it comes to nesting, hobbies, and all other falcons for that matter, are anomalous in the regard that they never construct their own nests. Hobbies will almost always take residence in nests built and left by corvids such as crows and ravens. These nests are built from branches, twigs, mulch and feathers, and predominantly situated in the forks of tree branches. It's important to note, however, hobbies have also been recorded nesting on top of squirrel drays, old buzzard nests, and using wood pigeon nests. Hobbies are the latest egg-laying raptor in the UK, on average beginning in the middle of June. They'll usually lay a clutch of 2 to 3 eggs, and on rare occasions 4. On average 2 to 3 will make it to the fledging stage. Factors that can influence this survival rate are food availability, predation, weather conditions, and human disturbance. Both parents share the incubation duties, which last for around 32 days, and chicks mature to fledge after another 32 to 34 days. Both parents will care for and feed the young, however, parental duties are differentiated in that the male will more often hunt, and the female will more often guard, brood, and feed the young. The parents do this over the summer months in the UK, as this is when weather conditions are suitable and the food is abundant. Let's move on to diet and hunting strategy. Hobbies are primarily aerial insectivores, meaning their diet mostly consists of insects caught in flight. However, they do also frequently feed upon small birds such as swifts, swallows and martins, a number of different species of bats, and insects such as dragonflies and flying beetles. When hunting, the hobby can easily reach speeds of 65 miles an hour or 105 kilometers per hour in pursuit of prey. Hobbies hunt with a method referred to as stooping or hawking, by which they'll dive from high altitudes and strike prey mid-air at an immense speed. They can easily eat small insects on the wing, but may need to take a perch in order to kill and consume larger meals with their razor-sharp talons and beaks. It's important to note that an individual bird's diet can vary greatly from others, depending on where it hunts and the prey that are numerous in that area. This notion can be seen when comparing the types of prey that frequently come into each of these nests. The farmland nests seem to have more birds, while the woodland nest parents seem to bring in a greater proportion of dragon and damselflies. Hobbies and other falcons have a hunting success rate of 25%, meaning they catch 1 in 4 of the prey they pursue. This may not sound all that impressive, but when compared to the rest of the animal kingdom, this makes them one of the most efficient hunters present on Earth. Here we can see the chicks growing rapidly, gaining character and plumage. Eurasian hobbies are migratory birds. This means that they have a breeding ground in the summer months in the northern hemisphere, and a wintering ground in the southern hemisphere. Food availability is scarce in the northern winters, so they travel south to find food and better weather. The timings of these migrations are dependent on favourable weather conditions, but generally speaking they leave their breeding grounds in late summer to early autumn and return in springtime. Fascinatingly, the route that they take has been found to be almost exactly the same both ways. What remarkable navigation this is. It's believed that they're able to memorize prominent features on their route and detect Earth's magnetic field. In other words, this is like them having an internal biological compass built into their brains. That being said, bird migration is still not entirely understood, and it is possible that their navigation is more complex and involves more variables than science is currently aware of. Now let's look at some transient visitors to our nest cameras. First, we have a greater spotted woodpecker, Dendrocopos major. And next, we have a grey squirrel, Sciurus carolinensis. Finally, we have the Eurasian sparrowhawk, or Accipiter nisus. This bird was recorded watching the nest on 3 occasions, waiting for the right time to strike. The final topic I'd like to discuss is man's history with hobbies, through falconry to persecution to destruction of suitable habitat. For centuries, since the medieval period, humans have taken part in falconry. This is an activity that once in years gone by was reserved for nobility and gentry. Only people regarded to be of high status were allowed to own falcons such as peregrine falcons and gyr falcons, which are Arctic cousins hailing from regions further north. These birds would be used to hunt wildfowl and game birds. Commoners, however, were restricted to owning birds that were regarded to have a lower value, such as kestrels and sparrowhawks. Hobbies weren't regarded to be birds of utility at this time, as they almost exclusively prey upon animals that humans had no interest in eating. But since this time, in general, perceptions of falcons have changed. The invention of firearms in the 17th century led to a decline in falconry as hunting became more efficient. There's been a modern revival in falconry in the most recent centuries. However, nowadays this is regarded to be a pastime rather than a means of survival. Game shooting is a practice that has occurred on private estates for centuries. This is regarded to be a sporting activity where beaters drive game such as pheasants and partridges towards a line of people ready to shoot them out of the air. In terms of habitat, for thousands of years humans have been altering the natural landscape in the UK and around the world. It's widely accepted that one of the main changes that humans have caused is deforestation. This may have increased the open area of spaces for hobbies to hunt. However, the rise in modern intensive monoagriculture farming, with the use of pesticides and artificial fertilizers, is understood to be having a damaging effect on the prey hobbies consume. Presently in the UK, the hobby population is doing okay, and when looking at Europe as a whole, the conservation status is of least concern. But will this remain so with less invertebrates to feed on? I think it could be easily inferred that humans are having a detrimental impact on the suitable habitat for these birds to subsist. One thing we at Wildlife Windows and others are trying to do is to produce artificial nests that resemble that of a corvid. Hobbies don't notice a difference and will happily use them to raise a brood. This will hopefully lower the likelihood of a shortage of suitable nests for these birds to use. Unfortunately, the game of life is very unfair, and only the fittest survive. This can be shown by the following footage. The parents of these chicks have been raising them for the whole breeding season, and here we can see how efforts can be thwarted in an instant. Miraculously, both juveniles were seen the next day, which means that this juvenile hobby survived the sparrowhawk attack. Finally, last but certainly not least, let's watch these juveniles fledge. Thank you so much for watching this fact file. I really hope I haven't chewed your ear off and that you enjoyed it and learnt something new. Please like, comment and subscribe, and share this with anyone you think may enjoy. Take care, happy birding, talk to you in the future.